Welcome to Pax Europiana here from Upper Austria, this very intensive and good region of Austria, which unfortunately there are some issues which I want to address in the coming weeks and years, and I'm looking for your support. Upper Austria is a very rich and well-developed region. It is not in NATO. And I call on the authorities here. You see, there's the European flag, the Upper Austrian, the Austrian flag. It's time for the NATO flag. And I think I would be amiss if I wouldn't have the NATO flag with me. But it's not just that. Yeah? The big debate is, of course, the sanctions in Austria now. The Prime Minister, Karl Nehammer, is now at the UN General Assembly, and he has officially made again a statement against the sanctions. And the President of the Austrian Chamber of Commerce has talked against the sanctions. And there is a massive campaign by the Austrian People's Party against the sanctions. Yeah? And that's very regrettable, because where's the problem? This pressure comes, of course, from the extreme left and from the extreme right. In Austria, it's mostly the extreme right of the friends of Putin, the free, so-called free. In reality, they are not free. They are the servants of Putin. That's this whole populist right. And they are putting the pressure. And unfortunately, instead of explaining well, and instead of really kind of building a case for European solidarity with Ukraine, and also the fact that reducing the sanctions will change about nothing in Putin's behavior. You know, he will not stop the war. He will not suddenly be very friendly to us. We will not suddenly, you know, after the total capitulation and we have sacrificed Ukraine, there will not be normality afterwards. Yeah? Because all the things which happened in 2022 cannot be made undone. All these thousands of people who died, 10,000 of people who died in the battlefields, which are Putin's responsible, not ours. Mr. Mahrer, Nehammer, and Mr. Stelzer. It's absolutely wrong, the policy to use the talking points of the extreme right and then to think the people. You have to explain the facts and the truth. It's like that. We are in war with Russia. Point. It's an economic war for us. It's a hot war for the Ukrainians. And nothing the Austrian institutions will do or say will change that. You know, a separate peace by Austria with Russia will not change the military situation nor the political situation between Europe, the West, and Russia. And it all started by Putin. You know, there was as much submission as entirely possible by Austria and Germany with all the pipelines and all the gas deals. You know, the strategy of 2015 to buy peace by buying more gas from Russia, because that's the Nord Stream thing. Yeah, basically a second pipeline just to appease Putin. It has not worked. The policy of rejection of Ukraine from NATO and the EU has not worked, because that's what Austria and Germany were doing, rejecting Ukraine from NATO and the EU for the years from 14 to 22. He still invaded. You know, he invaded. Yeah? He made a complete mess and a complete disaster of 2022. Huh? And buying more gas will not stop him, because we bought already all the gas he had. Yeah? And we did all the things he wanted. You did it, not my policy. You, the Schleimspur. Exactly. That was the Austrian policy and the German policy under Merkel and Kurz. And now Nehammer is trying the same. And it has not worked. You failed. Why you still govern is a mystery for me, but nevertheless, now you govern and you say more of the same failed policy should lead to different results. It's not logical. It doesn't work. Yeah? So we must make containment and clear confrontation. We must first of all win the war. Austria must supply tanks and military equipment for the victory of Ukraine. Neutrality can no longer be the cover. It's wrong. It was always wrong, and it's now completely exposed as a Russian cover. So what we need is military support for Ukraine from Austria, technical, industrial, and also tanks and other equipment. We have a lot. We export 2.5 billion of military equipment every year, so we can do some for Ukraine. That's the first thing. And stop this anti-sanction debate. It's only driving the voters into the FPO, into the Friends of Putin camp. Because the sanctions are not the problem. The problem is Putin and his war. We have to win it. We have to integrate Ukraine in NATO, Austria in NATO. We have to militarily be stronger and ready to win this confrontation. That's the way for victory. That's the only way. And we have to be more united in the energy markets. We have to open our markets more to the Americas, to Africa, to the Gulf. We have so many trade agreements. Since 20 years I'm running through Brussels and Europe calling for the whole trade agreements, which exactly the Chamber of Commerce and the Austrian government has blocked. The trade agreement with America, with South America, with Africa, with the Gulf, with Australia, with India. Who has blocked that? You! It's the tragedy. You didn't ratify Mercosur. It was very complicated with CETA. You blocked the TTIP agreement. Yeah? We have no progress on India, on the Gulf, on Australia, a little bit on Australia. Yeah? On Africa it was promised 2 years ago, nothing. I mean, now the idea to have one with New Zealand will be done. Okay, that's good. Yeah, long overdue. But we have, and even that, for example, now it took the war to have a full trade liberalization with Ukraine. It's totally disaster. We could have done that 2016 completely in once. But no, the Austrians have said, oh, what about all this chicken and all the other beautiful quotas and tariffs which were still kept in the DCFTA and was hurting our credibility in Ukraine. Yes. So this kind of pro-Russian policy must come to an end. This anti-sanction talk is only helping the Kickel extremists. Yeah? You have to stop it. Nehammer, stop it. Stelzer, Mahrer, stop it. I will write open letters as much as I can now in the coming days, because this policy is complete failure. It's a party political failure. It's a European failure. It's a failure of then against Ukraine, and it is destroying the credibility of Austria in the whole of Central and Eastern Europe. We are seen as a traitor nation, as a pro-Russian camp. This is disgraceful. And obviously we can do without gas. We had no Russian gas until '68. We have technology, adaptability, connectivity with the rest of Europe. Of course we can manage with zero gas. And it's also the only serious preparation. You have to call the companies and say, prepare for .0 gas, because it will come. In October the Battle of Kherson and Mariupol for the liberation will be. And then suddenly, what you say, oh, we are surprised. You can really just wonder what level of political preparedness is in the Austrian political elites at this level. Because logically it will come to .0. Even Mangold says that very clearly. So .0 must be prepared. And the people must be prepared. And of course it needs a big package of new EU debt. I have made that very clear. None of the Southern Europeans or Eastern Europeans can carry this alone. So it must be new pooled European debt to soften the blows of the energy transition, of the military rearmament of Ukraine, of Europe and everybody, and also the energy interconnectivity and the infrastructure interconnectivity. All these things are costing a lot of money, and the reconstruction of Ukraine, the EU integration of the countries. How many videos I've made already on that? I think thousands. And of course it must be done. And of course we need a new debt package. And Austria is blocking that. Lindner anyhow has to resign. He is complete failure. And we need a decent approach. And we have done it in COVID. It's now a big crisis again. It's justified to have European debt solidarity. And obviously we must do that. Yeah? There's absolutely no other way, and it's also the fair way, because we postpone the cost of the crisis. We reject it for the next 10 years via the debt market. It's good. And then we have a long-term, very positive effect. We will be free of Russia. No, whatever happens in Russia, and it will be a complete disaster, there will be no kind of blackmail power by any Russian leader anymore. And that's very good. That's very important. And we will be also making a major step towards a greener economy. No Russian gas, no Russian nuclear anymore, no Russian coal. And of course we have to burn a bit of our own coal more, and we have to also use nuclear, yes, absolutely. But we do it under European circumstances and regulatory enforcement and alignment. That's much better than what the Russians are delivering. Yeah? This is a failed nation in complete decline. And all this pro-Russianism is also only people who have no idea of Russia or just have been in luxury hotels on some parties. Yeah? I mean, the real Russia outside is complete poverty still and in decline. I'm really disappointed by the very lack of preparedness for this crisis from the Austrian political elite. Many of them are my friends, or maybe after this video my ex-friends, but I was really trying to inform them about what's happening. It's also me as an activist, I've basically failed because they all didn't listen to me, and obviously they listened to the Russians and to their Russian agents like Leitl and Schüssel and all these people and Kneissl, who are getting rich with Russian money and then present some fantasy picture of Russia. How wonderful. It's so disappointing. It's very bad. Anyhow, it's good weather. I don't want to be in a bad mood. I'm in Linz now. I will focus a little bit on countering this Russian narrative in Upper Austria in the coming days. And I will keep you posted on Pax Europiana. I will do also a press conference here, but in German language again. And then I will fight the Russian narrative, and the nationalist right will not win. And all these politicians, I'm very sorry, who are repeating just Russian talking points, and they will unfortunately not be part of the European Austrian future. Be sure about it. Yeah? Reconsider, because that's a very big failure, and the people are smart. They know, they will understand, and they will not vote for such kind of Russian policy, because they don't want to live under such circumstances. Not even the Russians want to live under such circumstances. And the Ukrainians know very well, and they fight with their life, that not to live under torture chambers and Russian autocracy. Just a very few in the top have some income from natural resources, and the rest is in complete disaster. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to live under such circumstances, and the people understand that. Anyhow, disappointing, but optimism is duty, and Europe will prevail. There will be a European Austria, a much better European Austria, cleaned from the Russian tainted influence of the last decade, and it will come. Thanks a lot. All the best. Bye.